Okay, we are live. So, Tamra, let's give it a few minutes to let everybody get on. Let me go check on a couple of the Facebooks on my phone here
Okay.
and see if everything's going.
Okay.
But we are live. Like we got zero right now. This is going to be. It's also being recorded too, so anything we say can and will held against us in the court of law.
Okay, I'll be careful.
So while we're waiting, Monday night coaching. So let me talk a little bit about coaching for football. I'm so glad we've reached a point now to where we've got we're going to have a new coach for the Falcons. Dan Quinn was a great guy, great coach, but it's time to clean house, right?
Yep.
You know, anytime in business, it's nothing personal. It's just let's clean out and let's move on, right? And I think they're letting go of the.
You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Exactly. I think they're letting go of Dimitrov too, like the top guy. So good way to clean house. I'm excited to see what's coming. Looks like we got 5 people on. If you're listening in, post in the comment. Let us know what city you're out of. Maybe your name. We'll get going here in just a second. We're going to wait for a couple more people here to get on. Tamra, you want to talk anything about this past week? The marketing things going on while we're waiting for them to jump on here? We got 6 on here so far.
Sure. The market's good. We've seen a little bit, it's calmed down a little bit, but I don't think that's been intentional. I think that has been because the inventory levels. Did you lose me for a second? The inventory levels are so low right now. So we need these builders to build houses. We need sellers to put their houses on the market if they're thinking about it. And we as realtors need to be encouraging both sellers and builders to get what they need to get done. So I think that's a big challenge for us as realtors right now is there's just not a huge level of variety. Everybody ate through it over the last 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, agreed. So we've got Vanessa chiming in, Jeremy, awesome. Got some more people coming in. So here's what we'll do. We'll just go ahead and kind of jump into it if you want to. I'll let you kind of direct it here with what we're going to cover tonight. So everybody that's on here now, if you're listening and you want to help us out, go ahead and go at the bottom and share it to another page, another timeline. We want everybody to be able to see this tonight because Tamra, you've got one of the best here on the call tonight. She's going to go over some really good things and she's going to answer some questions here a little bit as well. So we'll go ahead and kind of jump into it. So Tamra, if you want to cover the things that we're going over tonight.
Okay. So this is one of my favorite things to do. I have been in the real estate industry for 22 years, and those that are joining us tonight that are already with Remax True or the Tamra Wade team, you know how much I love to share my insight. But I'm one of those, I'm very competitive and I love to dominate the real estate market. So right now, like my team with Remax is the #1 team in the state of Georgia, and we're number 17 in the country. So #1, you can't really beat that, but number 17, we want to beat. So we are working very hard to figure out how we're going to do that. I got into this 22 years ago. I'm still as excited, if not more, than I was back then. And so I love to help agents grow their businesses because as a realtor, whether you're 1, you're 3, you're 5, whatever it is, you are running a business. So I guess, right now, like this year, there's been a huge shift. We look back at early part of 2020. I remember I was getting on a airplane on March 7th, heading to Mexico with my husband, thinking everything was great. The market, we had a great early start to the spring market. It literally started on January 1. Got on a plane to Mexico and flew back on the 13th, and the sky was so what you have to do is be able to shift in markets when things change. And so I'd already been through a very turmoil kind of market impact when the financial crash happened. So I was already somewhat prepared and knew kind of what to do and started working that direction. But again, it was scary for me just as it was for everybody who's on here tonight and anybody who's going to see this after the Facebook Live. So Sean, kind of you went through that too, right? From a marketing side, because you work closely with us on the social, so you didn't know what was going to go on either.
Yeah, we knew one thing, and the only thing we knew was the actual screen time. We talked about this before. Screen time went up like 25-30% overnight during this, which was good in one sense, but even though all the bad was going on, so we always try to see the silver lining. So now look who we are months later, how business is conducted. There's no telling how many hours of live video and Zooms that people have done this year versus their entire life. So it's changed everything.
So yeah, a lot of my team was already, so my staff was already doing Zooms. My team was already doing Facebook Lives, but we've stepped it up a notch. So, you know, we can go over that. That's a little bit further on in this. I think one of the big things that I wanted to do is talk to everybody about the mindset when working with other agents. So forgive me, I've got some notes here. I don't have everything right here embedded in my brain, but one of the things that I've worked very hard on from the moment that I got in the real estate industry, and I got into it in new homes and then, forced my way into the resale side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on, a lot of different levels, not so much in every day because I've got a fabulous team and fabulous agents in the brokerage, but I still do have to communicate. I am not incognito. And so one of the big things is I learned early on that I had to develop relationships with realtors. And I had to, basically take a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you're not losing me. Okay. A different approach than everybody else. Or not, I shouldn't say everybody else, but take a different approach than some other agents. I realized early on that, not looking at another realtor as competition, but looking at them as co-opetition so we could work together. We didn't, there was enough business to go around that I didn't need to look at the realtor that I was dealing with on the other end like, you're going to come after my business or I'm going to go after his or her business, and just them like we were a team. So be it like when I was working a deal, it wasn't necessarily like I knew I had my staff. So I had an awesome lady who still works for me right now. And I love to give a shout out to Kelly Peterson, who's going to be with me 11 years this year. But I realized that you have your staff, your team, but then the agent you're working with on the other side, be it representing the buyer or the seller, was also your team. And we could either make this thing as enjoyable as possible while all the emotions were coming into it from all sides, or we can make this like we're going like this the whole time. And trust me, I was young when I got into this and I've changed. I'm 44 now. So I think I was a little bit more of this early on. And it's kind of like, I'm like, what is the end goal? We've got to get a buyer and a seller to a closing table. And we need to make it as easy as we possibly can. And that's not always easy when you're dealing with all kinds of craziness.
Yeah, true. Got a lot going on. How many agents do y'all have right now total?
Between the team and the brokerage resale side, a little over 60.
Wow.
And growing, but growing at a very nice, calm pace. We're not looking to be a 300 brokerage. We want to be one where we can all interact and bounce ideas back to each other. The big thing for me was like I said earlier, was like, how do we get two people closing to the closing table? And sometimes it doesn't work. You can be as nice as you can be on one side, and it doesn't matter if it's the other seller, the other buyer, or the other agent. Sometimes you can do everything you possibly can, and it doesn't always act that way. So what I've learned is you have to always maintain your professionalism, and you have to keep your personal out of it. So trust me, I am very competitive professionally and personally. But I always have to kind of take that higher road. My mother always tell me that, and as much as sometimes I'd want to go back and just be like, like this, I'm like, okay, so when the others are getting emotional, I need to kind of temper mine and try to figure out how are we going to kind of calm this thing down and get there, because sometimes yelling and going back and forth at each other is not going to work. And it's not always easy to maintain that. And I've somehow managed to get some patience within this, but that's something I've had to work on. Does not come easy. I can promise you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Years and years of going through the good and the bad. Awesome.
Yeah. And I think, as technology and things have changed in how we communicate. So texting wasn't big in 1999 when I got into this, and it wasn't big in 2010. Texting has gotten really big over the last 3, 4, 5 years. But what happens with texting is there's a lot of miscommunication that can happen from that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you experienced that, Sean, in your daily life as well from the marketing side and social, but texting can be a really good thing, but it can be a really bad thing.
Yeah, it depends on the person. Like we always teach everybody, you've got to communicate how they want to be communicated with. You're going to have your talkers that want to be on the phone. You're going to have your in-person people that have to be in person. You got people that just want to text. And that's not just the young folks either. I mean, I'm 50 and I love text myself. So, and then you got email. So you got to find the avenue how they like to be communicated with during like maybe the main part of the sales process. Of course, at the end, it's always more of a in face, in front of each other and interaction. But yeah, if you pick the wrong one, sometimes you can push people away. Believe it or not, we've seen it ourselves. Like if we know they're not phone and they love text, I tell the guys all the time, just text them until they want to talk on the phone, and it works.
It works. It works with me.
Yeah. They'll let you know, right? People will
Right.
let you know.
I'm a client of yours, and I'm not the easiest to get on a phone and text. You know that if you text me, I will more than likely get back to you.
Yeah, I forgot, and I had to add one more homing pigeon. Sometimes I have to send a pigeon to you, put a note on it, just to get in touch with you. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you got to figure out what avenue that they like to communicate, and just go with that. Plus, two, you can maximize your time. There's so many tools out there. Like I could talk for hours on that. There's so many free tools, but there's paid tools as well, to where you can maximize your time with not only text, but even some automation with your emails, text, voicemail drops. It's not like people are mad at those things because everybody's busy, and people actually appreciate those things because sometimes they don't want to talk to you. They'll just answer the whatever automation you got until you get to that step where they're ready to buy or they're ready to do something. So that's always good leverage.
Exactly. And one thing is, like when you're working with a client or even an agent, a co-op agent, is asking them, is it okay to text you? Because I think it's assumed that everybody will text back, and not
Mm-hmm.
everybody will, and not everybody is available to their text. I'll say by me being a primary example, texting is not my strong suit. And it's one of those things where I get a text, but I don't have it where it alerts me because I'm on a lot of calls and I'm in a lot of meetings during the day. So I don't want it to be where all of a sudden it's like I get probably 100 a day that it's like bing, 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 bing. Like I'm focused on the person that's in front of me,
Yeah.
but texting is okay. And so I make sure to tell people that know me, yes, you can text me, but just be aware that I'm not going to respond as quick as I would like to. I wish there was like an autoresponder on text, like, thank you for your text. I will get back to you, because I feel like that would be polite. But
Yeah.
my phone does not have that yet.
We'll fix that. We'll make that happen for you.
Help me with that one.
I will.
The other thing is that I learned only text updates. Like, don't text these long texts that are going on and on. You have something to communicate, like pick up a phone. I even found like email, we all got so used to email and like we'd send these long emails. So everybody's busy, but if it's that important,
Yeah.
a phone. But text updates, quick updates. Hey, just wanted to let you know that our due diligence has expired and everything's good to go. Hey, wanted to let you know that the buyer who's buying your home, their loan is cleared. we're looking good for closing on Friday. Stuff like that, quick, short, to the point kind of things. But
Yeah.
don't like text these stories, because that also, depending on people's phones too, can get like all mixed up. Like if you have like 3 or 4 different texts that come through because your phone will only take so much, which mine is
Sure.
like that. Sometimes the conclusion is the first thing, and I miss
Yeah.
like everything else.
Yeah, it will break it up later. You're right. So just short and sweet is good. It's amazing how a quick text to say, "Hey, do you got just a second? I need to talk to you about something."
Yeah,
That will get people to say yes because they're curious of what you got to say. Plus, then you can get on with them and you can get it over with, in 2 minutes, and then you can move on to the next thing.
it's true. It's very true. Another thing that I think is really important is when you have something positive to share with your client, you need to pick up the phone. Texting something positive,
Absolutely.
you're missing out on that whole opportunity of why you're so great and why they need you. Is, hey, wanted to let you know I just checked in on this and everything is going great. Wanted to give you some really good news. And listen to them get excited and have that conversation about it. Texting is such a short way to do it, and you're missing out on all that opportunity for the excitement and everything that goes along with being in this industry and
Yeah.
how good you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody wants the good news by phone for sure. So I agree with that.
Right.
So,
It's your value add. It's kind of like, how do you interpret information to the client? Um, it's your thing, like they need you and you want to become somebody who is so important. You don't want to just be that generic person that they only meet at the listing presentation, and then after that everything is done via text and email, and
mhm.
ever hear your voice again until you show up at the closing to collect a commission check.
Yeah.
Like, it's so non-personal, and that's where our world is going, and we've got to like break out of that, because that's not why realtors are needed. We're needed for all that great stuff in between, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. If you want to, we'll take up some questions. If anybody that's on here now, we've got quite a few on here. If you've got a question about the communication part that she's just been covering, go ahead and shoot it in the comments and we'll try to answer it as we move on here. So just put it down in the comments. And if you're on here too, help us out, share this to another page, another group, whatever you need to. Tamra is going over different things to try to help your business as an agent. So Tamara, so we've kind of been covering the communication part, but kind of, I guess, finalize that until we get any questions is communication is so easy. Nobody has an excuse not to get a free tool or even a paid tool to leverage their time. Because as an agent, whether you're an agent or you're in sales, period. So if anybody's watching, they're just in sales. There's too many tools out there to have excuses about communication and follow up. In my business and marketing, that's one of the biggest holes we see every time we talk to a new client is the hole is their follow up and their communication. Well, what are you using? Why are you not using text? Why are you not using voicemail drops? Why are you not using? I mean, email is still alive, even though the click rates are anywhere between 12 to 19%. It can still work, especially since COVID, it changed that a little bit. Those email open rates went up a little bit. Now text probably has a 90% open rate. So why would you not want to text? Messenger, same thing. Messenger's probably got a 85 to 90% open rate as well. So if you can't get to your client or potential customer through text, phone, or email, instant message on Facebook. It's another angle.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Jumping over, I guess, to the next topic would be
Okay.
why you need to be known for something or risk getting lost in a sea of everything. So I learned really, really, really quick after the downturn of the market, and I had to jump over into the resale side. Or I shouldn't say resale side, the general real estate side.
Yeah.
Um, how was I going to get known? Because if I was just like, did everything, I just threw this big blanket out there and said, I'm a realtor, then okay, that's great. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if you need to be you need to be known for something. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in the sea of everything. And so
Yeah.
I had to kind of like throttle back and go, okay, so what are you going to do? And so at that time, short sales were starting to emerge, and I went and got my certifications, and I became the short sale expert. And I leveraged like to the best that I could, and I maintained a great living through a very hard time. And then I shifted. I'm a shifter. So I shifted back into new homes. I had builders that I had known and stayed in communication with, and said, look, when you guys come back in the market after you get done with everything you need to deal with, I'm your realtor. And
Mhm.
builders come back, and I slowly reemerged myself into that new home side and said, look, you're going to sell new homes. I'm your girl. Like, we'll get it done. And I went from being me and Kelly that I mentioned earlier to me, Kelly, and 35, 40 agents at a given time in communities all over Atlanta. Right now, we've got 10 different builders. But I am known, like if someone hears the name Tamra Wade, if somebody knows me, be it realtors, buyers, whatever, new homes is written across my forehead, even though I don't have it like tattooed here.
Yeah.
Like I'm a new homes. That's what I do. And that's what my expertise is. Agents need to find that, because if you don't find your
Niche.
place, your niche, you're going to get lost at sea. And so there's ways that you can do it. You can leverage your expertise as in being like maybe a demographic. So, you don't have to be segmented over everything. Find a demographic, maybe an area,
Mhm.
leverage yourself that way. So it's just, sitting down and trying to figure out like, what do you love to do? Like I'm a new homes person. I love new homes. That's my thing. What makes you happy, and what would you just dive into so intensely that you could just make so much from it? And that's like one of the big things that you need to do. But if you're sitting there right now and you're listening tonight or watching tonight and you're going, okay, so I've got this parachute. I'm a realtor. You need to sit back and go 2021. I'm focused on something very specific, and then everything else is gravy. And that's the way that I do it.
Mhm.
Like I don't work because real estate to the extent of where I'm in it every day, because I've got a team and a brokerage. But I tell the agents that I work with every time they come in and they join the brokerage, figure out something and specialize in what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the biggest thing that I hear when we get a new client, when I ask them, okay, we're going to try to do this ad for you or set this up for you. What is your area that you run? 99 out of 100 say, oh, I'll go anywhere. So back to what you just said, that's what everybody's saying. So like you said, depending on demographics, if it's a big city, you could just do a city if it was just Atlanta, or you could do a county, like if you're doing DeKalb County. But I totally agree. Sometimes niching down to a location, and then you can, like on the social media side and website, you can then create your content around that niche that you get, so that when people see you, like in your case, when they see a lot of your posts and a lot of your videos and stuff, they have no doubt that, okay, this is new homes. This is the queen right here, new homes, because they
I,
see it.
I own it. I love it. I
Yeah.
own it. So it's like go and own it, whatever that is, and just make that you live and breathe it, and you educate yourself on it as much as you can,
Yeah.
and what you put in, you'll get out. Next thing I want to do is jump into how do you co-list to break into a luxury market. It doesn't necessarily have to be luxury, but also just to break into a market. So here's the thing. You may be, let's say, in like North Metro Atlanta. So you might be in like the Hamilton Mill. I'm using that because that's like some of my stomping grounds where our brokerage is. But
Yeah.
Bird, Hamilton Mill area, Sugar Hill, Braselton, that kind of thing. You want to go ahead, you own that, you want to let people know that's what you do. But when you get listings in other areas, if you don't know the area, don't say, I can't take your listing, Mr. Seller, or Mr. or Mrs. Buyer that's going to want to go look in, let's say, south of the airport. Go ahead and reach out to another agent. Doesn't even have to be the brokerage you're with. doesn't even have to be with the brand that you're with. If you're with Remax and you find a KW agent who's like a top producer on the other side and say, hey, can we co-market together? Lots of agents don't realize you don't have to co-market with the same brokerage that you work for. You can actually co-market with another brokerage,
Okay.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one brokerage can only get the commission, but the other one can get the referral, but you
Sure.
can actually work in other areas. And so like you start working, let's say like an example would be, Fayetteville. Like Tamra Wade does not know Fayetteville other than new homes and stuff like that, but I don't know it to that extent either, you know. But if I got a resale listing, which I'm not working resale, but if I were right now, because this is what I did years ago, I would reach out to an agent. I would look for the top performer, not with Remax or not with KW, whoever that top performer is in the area. Hey, can I co-list with you? I will be the co-agent. You take the commission, you do like all that kind of stuff, pay me a referral, but I want to be in communication with people as well. And we can do that. That's not against Georgia Real Estate Commission rules. I mean, so it's like pound that pavement, find those top producers and co-list with them as much as you can. I mean, that's something I don't think maybe few agents know that they can do.
What does that, do you know much about the Southeast? Is that like all over as well? Thinking other states and co-listings?
Yeah, you can do that in other states, but if you want to be on the listing, you have to be licensed in that. So an example,
Okay, I gotcha.
yeah, if anybody's looking to go into Florida, I just got fingerprinted, by the way, last week I'm going to go into Florida. And one of the things is that right now, just I'm going to throw this in there as a little tip and tidbit, is that a lot of the local police departments and government places, UPS stores are not doing fingerprints. I've got a great contact. If you want to do fingerprints, he'll come to your home or your office. Very, very reasonable as far as cost goes, but he'll do your digital fingerprints and send them on to the agents or send it on to the Florida Real Estate Board so you can get that taken care of. But I'm doing that because, I want to co-list with agents in there that if I get an opportunity, instead of me just saying, here you go, I want to learn another market, I'm going to go on listing with them so that I can understand what that market's like.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you're talking about this and I won't mention the other top agents' names like in other states because that's why I was asking. A lot of the top agents that are really making bank are doing this strategy you're talking about, the co-listing, because it's another way, like you said, to leverage. You're leveraging your time and your name. I mean, I think people are just leaving money on the table because for one, it's to help the end client, which is the buyer, the seller. But I mean, you guys are in this business to help each other, and that's a beautiful thing for sure.
Well, it is. And, like for me, I have builders right now that are, Metro Atlanta based builders, but they're looking to expand their businesses. So instead of them going to Florida or South Carolina and going, Tamra, I'm sorry, you're our Atlanta agent, or team, but we're going to South Carolina or Florida, because that's typically what they're going to do. They're going to reach out just enough to get to like where their fingertips are and go to other areas. Then I'm like, I better be licensed. So I have one builder right now that I've told it he's going to do it. He's going to South Carolina. Well, I'm going to South Carolina with him. I'm not letting in some other agent in South Carolina.
Absolutely.
Again, being competitive and staying on my game. I'm never satisfied with, you know what, Tamra, your team closes 600, 700, 800 homes a year. I want to grow. And so why should I let somebody else have it when I can have it? And I think that's the mindset of the top producer. And that's the mindset that I would love to share with others, is that you have to always be thinking about how can you keep plugging forward in this. So the next one is insider tips on reputation management in the game of relationships. So how do you let people know that you're out there? Well, I've got Sean with Brand Lift. So social media is huge. And if you're not doing social right now to a very consistent level, and a very specific level, then you need to get on board with that, because that's where we are right now. Sean, I'm going to talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, and video specifically too, just like we're doing tonight. Guys, if you're listening, you're an agent or in sales or any business, you can go find software just like we're on tonight, a streaming like OBS software. You can do the same thing, split screen. Let me point that way, just like Hollywood Squares over here. You can do these type of things. This is the type of things that's going to take what Ms. Tamra was talking about getting in a niche. Maybe you don't know a city to niche down to, or a county, or an area. How about being the video guy, the video queen, and just get yourself out there? We work with so many people in the real estate industry, the loan industry, and insurance industry, is that I would have to say that probably 98% of the people that we talk to, they're afraid to do video, they're afraid to do a podcast, they're afraid to do all these things. You can't be afraid. 5 years ago, I was afraid to do all this too. And I figured out really quick, if I'm ever going to achieve the goals that I want and go 10X, I had to put myself out there and get uncomfortable, and look where we are today. Now we're doing this. Tamra does these type of videos to help other agents out there. Now she's got her own brokerage, but she's always going to be giving these coaching tips because she wants the whole industry to get better, right? So being able to do social, we tell this to everybody every day, you need to at least have a presence out there on social media. If you don't have the time to put a lot of stuff, that's fine. Make sure you've got something out there. But anybody can do videos. If you're out there, whether you're in a subdivision, you're downtown somewhere, pick up your phone, shoot a video, post it, let people know that you're in the area and that you know about the area. And I'll just bring up, let's just say Atlanta. If you're somewhere in Atlanta and you talk about a restaurant or downtown or whatever, they know that you're there and you're not some agent 2 states away trying to pose about being over here. Let them know what you do, because that's another last point I want to tell you, is that I can't tell you how many agents out here that don't post on their own friend page and let people know what they do, but yet they go to a party and find out that one of their best friends just sold their house and used somebody else. So never have the audacity to think that people know what you do. Like every day when I get up, I make sure everybody knows that I'm in marketing and sales. If you need help, call me. That's what everybody should do.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is, making sure anybody and everybody knows what you do. And it should never be a surprise when a friend or somebody else. And because I didn't know you could do that, or I didn't know you could do this. And so you need to be that person. But I think, the biggest thing, and to kind of taper this out to the last big topic for me of the evening, is how do you portray excellence in what you're doing? And it's all in how you communicate with other people, and how you educate yourself in what you're deeming to be your excellent thing. And so, I'm one of those, it doesn't matter if I'm going to make money off of something or not. If somebody wants information on new homes, I'm going to give it. So call me, text me, whatever. I'm going to give that. The other thing is, though, if I have to work with, or I shouldn't say when I work with another scenario, because I still deal with putting out fires and different scenarios with stuff in new homes every day. When I do communicate, I want to make sure that I'm communicating it with poise, professionalism, and I am portraying that excellence. And I do ask myself quite a bit, are you, was that your excellence? When I get off the call, I'll go did you do that, Tamra? Did you portray that when you were on the phone with somebody? And there's times where I'm like, oh, I let that personal side get over my professional, and I go, okay, how do I learn from that? But the goal is that in your head that whatever you're doing, you're portraying that excellence, because if you do that, it blossoms. You need to be willing to give back to people when it's not financial gain for you. This industry is very big, but very small. And you need people to understand that you have this love for it and you're in there to help them be at whatever it is. So you don't have to be in this 22 years like me. You could be in it 3 months. If you portray that expertise and you can, if you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm an expert yet, well, fake it till you make it, because I did it myself back in the day. And I still do with things. I'm still learning, but you need to treat it like this is your life, your livelihood, and you want people to go, wow, I just spoke to a very professional, classy agent, and that agent is going to make sure that they're going to do what they need to do to help get this transaction to the end. And if you can do that, you will succeed in this business and you'll stand out, because that's a very small portion of agents right now see their businesses that way. And it's not me being ugly saying that, it's the truth. It's just
Yeah.
what it is. So take that and grab a hold of that tonight from everything you've got, and just listen to this again over and over again. And I promise you, this is stuff that's happened to me over 22 years. And I've learned through default. I've learned through pain. I've learned through tears. I've learned through all that you don't get to be the number one in the state of Georgia with Remax by being willy-nilly about it. It's hard work, dedication, and it's committing to my career.
Yeah, I like to use the football analogies. You're not gonna win sitting on the sidelines. You got to get in the game. You got to play every down, every down. Not every. We always talk about this. Not every play is designed for a touchdown either. Sometimes there's plays. It's just a setup to get you a little bit further and a little bit further. And then when the time's right, then the play is called, for maybe a touchdown shot opportunity. But most people, it doesn't even matter if they're in real estate or any industry, most people give up, after 3 or 4 downs or, a couple of drives. They're like, I can't get nowhere, I haven't scored. But, I've seen you do it since the whole time I've known you. It's a daily, even though we're entrepreneurs, I guess, in a sense, because we have our own businesses, but it's a daily grind. I mean, there's no easy way through any of this, no matter what industry you're in as an entrepreneur. It's a daily grind and the consistency every day, so that eventually you will find luck as you work harder, right? That's what I always like to say.
It's very true.
You'll find luck. We're going to take some questions, kind of, because we're at the end. Anybody that's listening, we've got quite a few on here. If you'll just type in the comment your question. Tamra, while we're waiting on some questions, what would you say is the number one thing, in your opinion, that most agents, that holds them back? If you had to pick one out of, believe me, I'm sure we can write a list of 20 to 30, but what would be that one thing that not only that holds them back, but if they would just change it, they could see a major change within 90 days?
Fear of rejection. Fear of rejection, fear of asking for the close, fear of asking for the sale, fear of asking for the business. Fear is fear of failure. I mean, like, it's just like those negatives. It's like you've got to throw it out and into the trash can and just go, hey, what do you have to lose? One of the things I learned, like, early on was, like, at the end of every day, if you could stand in front of your mirror and say, you know what, I get it. I don't make an hourly pay. This is, what I put in, I get out. And if I could look at it and go, I did the best for my family. And I threw that fear out the window and just went for it. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That's probably, now that you said that, and this wasn't planned either, I did that come to me because I wanted to know your point. That's in a lot of industries. I mean, just that fear of failure, that's probably one of the biggest things. And that goes along too with the fear of speaking in front of a crowd, being on video. 99% of agents will not go live on a video.
What do you lose? Is it going to hurt?
Yeah. I mean, look, if this guy right here can get out there and put yourself out there, anybody can do it. And it goes back, you're one of your mentors as well as Grant Cardone. He talks about asking the hard questions. Yes, after years and years of studying a lot of his system and his books and stuff, it is so true. There's sometimes it only takes sometimes 2 or 3 little hard questions to find out exactly what you need to know in order to either get somebody into a deal or to just to help them in general. Because a lot of agents just kind of stop after they've asked them, how many bedrooms and baths, they don't ask the hard questions. So what would be, if we're waiting on some questions here, what would be a couple of hard questions that agents should practice using that would help them possibly not necessarily just get another deal, but allow them to have more confidence so that they can, 3 to 6 months from now, they'll be asking questions they never thought of. What's something you can think of as a question?
One of the big things I think before even the question is just picking up the phone. And I know it sounds so like riding a bike, so easy, but it's like, pick up the phone, like every day, go, I'm going to call people. It doesn't matter if whether or not, they're looking for a home, just take your phone and just work through your database on your phone and just call people. Like, calling, what is it going to hurt? If they're not buying, do they know anybody else that's looking to buy a home, or do they have any questions about the real estate market right now, especially coming, or going through COVID and kind of, I don't know what side we're on of COVID right now, but like, do you have any questions? Because the market's a great market right now, and doing that, I think like a lot of agents are sitting there waiting for something to come to them, and it's just, there's so many agents in the market right now, so it's not going to happen that way.
Yeah, and I agree with you, especially if you're an agent and you don't have much business at all. Crazy if you don't get on the phone. I mean, like you said,
have a phone. Just go through your people in here and say, looking, do you know anybody who's looking? Or do you need a market analysis on your home right now? Like, there's cloud CMAs that are sharp as heck right now with FMLS and everything. It takes 5 minutes to throw together something and send it out. Why not? It may not be now, it may be later, but I think that's the thing, is like, you have to, activity breeds whatever that saying is, but like,
activity breeds activity.
Yeah, and it doesn't even mean they're going to intertwine, but somehow it's just the way it is. It will definitely happen, but you can't just sit there saying, "Gosh, nobody's calling me" or whatever, because that's not how real estate works. It never has, it never will, and it will never work years from now that way.
Yeah. So we got a question from Kelly.
Sure.
How do you think the election is affecting the market?
I really don't. I'll be honest. I don't hear any comments of that from buyers or sellers and agents right now. I don't hear anybody asking or saying, do you think the election's going to cause a negative or a positive? I am going to be very happy when it's over with. The outcome of this. But I will say something, and I'll throw this in there, is there are agents out there right now. There's agents that are posting their political views on their business and their personal pages, and I would just recommend you guys refrain from that. Political and religious, those are the two that you just need to never put there on your social, because that's just that kind of thing. But I don't hear it right now. I've been through many elections in 22 years. And every time you hear people say, oh, well, it's going to kill our economy, or it's going to boost our economy. And I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't believe this is going to be any different than the other one. I think we're going to continue to move on. Real estate is just such a very interesting industry that will be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody needs a place to live. In all of our lifetimes, I'm 50. We've had good presidents, we've had bad presidents, but really none of them really truly affected the bottom line, which is you're still going to get up, you're still going to go make money, you still got to have a place to live. The politics side of it with the president is just going to make the differences, and maybe taxes, maybe, social things, but all of that will come out in the wash after it's over. So I noticed on Facebook that there was lines around the buildings today, I guess because of Columbus Day of voting. So what are we, 3 weeks away? But this is over. So I'm looking forward to it being over myself. Let's see if we got any other questions here. Oh, okay. She was saying, guess what she meant? Are you seeing people waiting to list or buy? Are you seeing anybody waiting to list or buy until the decision? Have you
So
seen
on the
anything like that?
listing side, no, and the buying side, no. I think
Okay.
right now what we're seeing is from the list side is we're getting ready to go into the holidays, and we need to be encouraging our sellers right now that are sitting there fencing it, thinking, oh, well, you know what, it's going to be Thanksgiving and Christmas and people aren't going to be buying and so on and so forth, is to encourage them to take advantage of the market right now and list, because the interest rates are low and
Mm-hmm.
it's a great time. The inventory levels are low. So, I mean, when you have two stars collide like this is a great time. And the same thing goes for buyers. Is I think the buyers right now, if it slowed up a bit, is they're going, the feds have told us that the rates aren't going to change anytime soon. And there's no inventory. So if we can encourage our sellers and people to get out there, that's going to help the other side. But you know what? Buyers don't need to sit and wait, because again, we don't have that crystal ball. So, hey, you know what? Houses are a great price right now. What is
Yeah.
out there? Be ready to
Yeah.
fix them up. There's companies right now out there. I just got an email from one of our lenders, Bank South, all lenders, and I love Bank South. They have actually come up with, they've got some really, I shouldn't say come up with, they've got some really good loans for people that have to do renovations. So, you know, maybe you buy something a little bit older or a little bit bigger that's at a good price and you renovate.
Yeah, I forgot about those loans. I was in the industry for a while, but I just now remember those. Sheila asked, what are top two things you would recommend to increase your database and to add new clients? I'll take that one for a second. Okay,
Okay.
so Sheila, best way to increase the database, first of all, you got to make sure you got good content out there on your social. If you have a website, I would recommend, this may go against some of what you guys do with your brokerages, but if you may have a website link based on the brokerage you're with, but I would encourage you to have your own personal brand website, even a one-page website link. And you can get with Brand Lift Marketing for that if you need one, because we do those. Because here's the thing, even though you work for a brokerage, whether it's Remax True or Keller or any of the other big names, people are looking to work with you. You just happen to work with that name, but you need to put yourself out there first. So as long as you've got a one-page website branded to you, and you just get information when somebody wants to maybe get a list of homes, don't try to get all their information, because that bugs a lot of people sometimes. Just ask for their email. That's a fair way trade out to them to give you email, and you send them something in their area, a list of homes. That's a great way to start, as a matter of fact, for any agent that doesn't have it. But you've got to post that landing page on your social channels. So if you're doing this on a budget, every post that you make sure that in the copy or the text above it, make sure you have your landing page to your one-page website, so that you can ask for an email, and that way, and then in return, you can send them some information that they need. Not a lot of people are doing that. I look at stuff every day. People just post, pictures, and think that they're going to get the phone ring off the hook because you posted a house. I mean, I hate saying that, telling you guys this, but it's true. Tamra knows this too. That's why she knows that herself and her team internally, we try to do a lot of call to actions anytime we post. She's got call to actions on her website. Anytime there's an ad running, anytime there's a video, you always want to give a person a way to get in touch with you. Because if 100 people see something and 3 or 4 are ready to maybe want to have a conversation, well, how are they going to remember to try to remember your name when they could just click on something, see all about you, and then put their email in, or even have a call button too? You just got to give people options, because I mean, this is not a hard business to be in, but you have to think and have processes. Now, the reason that Tamra got to where she is for 20 plus years and getting in the niche and then getting really good at the new homes, but every step along the way, Tamra has always added something else that helps her she'll add maybe another person to help her do something that she doesn't need to do anymore. Now she can concentrate. She can go get more builders. She can get more people in her database. So to finish that question, yes, get a one-page branded website. Make sure you're collecting at least an email. And that's one cheap way to start a database. Unless you got, if you got a budget to run ads, you can do that too. That can get you even quicker.
I'll throw a little tip.
Go ahead.
Tip on that. Another one is, it's kind of how I was talking about today, reaching out to top producers. So within your brokerage, whatever brokerage you're in, reach out to the top producer and say, hey, do you have a database? Of course, they will have a database. And say, hey, give me 100 leads that are in there. And if I can pull out a couple leads out of that, how about we split the commission 50-50? You'd be shocked at how many top producers would love somebody to be calling on their database and get half the commission if something works out.
Yeah.
That's one of the things like we have in our brokerage. I mean, I've got 45,000 people in a database. There's never a shortage for leads, even if they're not officially like live people today. Is there somebody within that 45,000? Somebody knows somebody who's looking to buy or sell a home.
Did you hear that number, Sheila? 45,000. So she just gave you a big hint there on what to do. So that was a good one. And that's so true because a lot of agents are either not doing hardly anything at all, and the biggest conundrum is getting to that point where you probably had years ago, to where you get going and you get so busy that you can't even grow from there. You're like 24/7. You're in this whirlwind, and you're stuck in that. I don't even know what the number is. Maybe 3 or 4 closings a month type situation. You can't really go any further than that without getting an assistant. Am I right on that? Where they get in that vortex. You got to get an assistant if you want to grow, but you're afraid to spend money to get the assistant. So if you want to, Tamra, I kind of want to talk about this as we close out. Can you tell the people that are watching, at what point should someone really consider getting an assistant or someone to help them so they can grow? When did you make that decision years ago? What did it take? You having 7-day weeks every hour of the day? How did it work for you?
So I'm not, I can do it and I can do it well. I can be a good admin. I can do admin work and I can work with buyers and sellers, but I had to reach a point where I started to think, so instead of me sitting here in front of a computer working on paperwork, I could be out there pounding the pavement with a buyer or going and doing a listing presentation. That happened very quick. And that was my first hire and my best hire. So, or one of my best hires. I've got several great hires now. But, that person I hired then is now an operations manager for my company. I've got an amazing sales manager. I've got an amazing marketing director. I've got amazing people, listings, running the brokerage. But I had to always think about my time. Is this the best use of your time, Tamra? And when I would think it's not, then it was time to hire the person that could do it better than me. And a lot of the people I surround myself with every day do a lot of things better than me. And so I think that's it. Is it the best use of your time? Is this, where you should be, or should you be out there working with another buyer or seller?
Yeah, and kudos to your team. You've got a dream team for sure, because I get to interact with a lot of them on a weekly basis. And that's important. I mean, as an agent goes along, being able to figure out, make sure you hire ahead of when you think you should hire, because I've seen that in all my businesses that I have now and in the past. Sometimes I always waited too long to hire somebody. If I would have just hired them, 6 months before that, I could have been 5 times further down the road with that. So I've definitely went through that myself. So any more questions out there before we end the call tonight? And Tamra, while we're waiting on any questions, you got any final thoughts to kind of leave everybody with, or maybe what you look forward to for any upcoming tips and coaching?
So we do this every Monday night. This is our first live. in a long time. We do a lot of Zooms with our inner inner agents for the Tamra Wade team and Remax True. I'm on the general side, but we're going to start doing some more live. So next Monday night, be watching for the opportunity at 7:30 to join us. And this is what I love to do the most. So it's exciting and everything. And this is what we're here to do, is to share with each other. The more we share, I believe, the more everybody learns, grows, and it's a great industry to be in right now. So, take advantage of it and have a good evening for sure.
There's your next assistant.
Yeah, this is my assistant. She's 4 and she'll be running Remax True, the Tamra Wade team, in about 20 years, but she loves homes, but I think she's going to be a builder. She likes to build more. So I'm sure she'll be building.
Awesome. So thank you, Vanessa, for that. So guys, we're going to kind of wrap it up. Tamra, thanks for having me on here tonight. So you're going to try on Monday nights live. You might have from time to time, I guess, different guests, but I think this was informative to everyone. Hope everyone has a great week. As always, go kill it. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Hey, guys.
Bye.